Hello, Wargamers. Welcome back to Gigantic Games. I'm Gary, and this is my channel. Hopefully, you all have some good information for you all today. Today, I'm going to be discussing Inquisitor Draxus leading the Imperium. So, out of all three Inquisitors, one of them is taken as an ally more than every other one, and that is Inquisitor Draxus. So I plan on going through all the battle line options, every unit that she could lead as an ally and in the Imperial agents in order to figure out where is she the best. Is it worth taking her? So let's get going. Now first, we gotta look at Inquisitor Draxus herself. Stat line and weapons. Movement 6 inches, toughness 3, save 3+ with a 5+ invul, 4 wounds, leadership 6, OC 1. Pretty generic for, at least for guardsmen, except with that 5+ invul, 3+. So guardsmen and power armor, okay, you're not taking her for the stat line. Points as an ally, as of January 26 when I did this, we haven't had a data slate yet, that changes it, is 95 points. She has 2 ranged weapons, which are the bread and butter for her. Dire Singer with an 18-inch range, 4 attacks, with skill 3+, strength 4, AP 0, 2 damage. Anti-infantry 4+, devastating wounds, assault. Very good at killing marine bodies with devastating wounds if you can get something like, I don't know, more shots or reroll wounds. And then her Psychic Tempest, which is 18 attacks, 18-inch range, 4 attacks, ballistic skill 3+, strength 6, AP 0, damage 2. Psychic sustained hits 2, which could be a very large number of attacks and can pick up a lot of guardsmen. So, very good anti-chaff abilities and possibly some anti-elite with that devastating wounds. Her melee weapons, she has a Power Fist with 3 attacks, weapon skill 3+, strength 6, AP 2, damage 2. Nothing to write home about. It's generic Power Fist. AP 2, damage 2 is good in melee, but that is not where she's going to shine. Her abilities and keywords. She has a 30 of the Inquisition, so while she's leading a unit, she may embark in any transport that bodyguard unit can. Okay, so it gets around the, you attach this leader, I can no longer be put in this transport anymore. Okay, cool. Xenos Hunter. Models in this unit, when a model in this unit makes an attack against a Xenos, so not Imperium, a non-Chaos keyword unit, you're going to add 1 to the hit roll. This is very useful against certain armies, but generally, with how much Imperium and Chaos players there are, that's just kind of a, you're going to be lucky and get it every now and then. She also has Psychic Veil, which is her more useful ability. So on your command phase, on a 2+, this unit gains Lone Operative 18. So this is my shorthand for cannot be targeted except by enemy units within 18 inches. Very useful if you're going to use her to be part of a backline screen or a 2nd or 3rd wave unit. Her keywords, infantry, okay, character, epic hero, psyker, grenades, Imperium, Order Xenos, Inquisitor, Draxus. So the big ones here are psyker, which is a downgrade because that means anti-psychic things can hurt her more. Character, expected that. The big one that is important is grenades, because as we go through this, you're going to see not every unit has grenades. So if you're in an army that doesn't have good access to grenades with its battle line, this could just give you grenades, which grenades is a good strat. Take mortal wounds wherever you can get them. All right. So now we're going to go into the first of the Imperium detachments, or Imperial armies. We have Adeptus Sororitas. I looked through all the detachment rules. None apply to Inquisitor Draxus. Some of them do apply to units, however, most of them specify models or units that she cannot lead. And there's only one battle line troop in here, and that is the Battle Sister Squad. So, what is the benefits here? Battle Sister Squad has sticky objectives, plus you can get the Lone Op 18 from Inquisitor Draxus, so you can sticky your natural fairly safely and then move on to somewhere else. The squad can split. So you take an immolator, you split it, you can get all the special weapons in Draxus in the immolator, and then you have a 5-man running around as a chaff squad, screening, okay. And against Xenos, she makes their meltas hit on 2s, so you're not going to have to use miracle dice to get the melta hits, but you will still need them possibly for the wound, rolls, or the damage. Overall, your points are probably spent better elsewhere. Yes, Adeptus Sororitas generally a higher point cost, but she doesn't give enough to the army, and there's a lot of other cheap options you can take for leaders or just more units. So, we're going to go on to the next faction, Custodes. This is the one where you probably see Inquisitor Draxus the most. So, army rule doesn't apply because she does not have the martial Qatar ability, and that doesn't go to the unit, it goes to models. There are only 2 detachments that she gets benefit from. Lines of the Emperor, which specifies Adeptus Custodes units get +1 to hit and +1 to wound, so she can get +1 to hit with her shooting and melee, so she's hitting on 2s. And +1 to wound can be big. However, she's going to suffer for AP 0. And then Talons of the Emperor possibly get a 5+ feel no pain against psychic attacks and mortals. Most psychic attacks and mortals aren't precision, so you're not too worried about that. One benefit is in Talons, the 5+ feel no pain against psychic attacks. If you fail your psychic test, the mortals caused by that are psychic and mortal, so you will get a 5+ feel no pain against that. Again, only 1 battle line unit available, the Custodian Guard. Now, key thing, Inquisitor Draxus gives the Custodian Guard access to the grenade stratagem. Useful, okay. And the Custodian Guard does generally help Inquisitor Draxus perform her rolls very well. Because they have rerolling of wound rolls. So normally it's going to be 1s, but if they're standing on objective, it's full wound rerolls, so you're going to be more likely to get those devastating wounds with her Dire Singer. So that leads to a large number of low AP or devastating damage 2 shots. Now, they also have a once per game double shoot. So those 3 attack weapons are now all of a sudden 6 attacks. So that's potentially 6 attacks hitting on 2s, wounding infantry on 4 with devastating wounds with wound rerolls, or 6 attacks hitting on 2s, sustained hits 2. Strength 6, AP 0, 2 damage, rerolling wound rolls. Just very good. She is cheap, especially compared to the rest of the Custodian lineup. Custodians are very expensive. And the 18-inch loan op means you're not just, that whatever Custodian Guard unit she's attached to just isn't going to get shot way out of nowhere. They're going to have to get close enough so that if you survive, you can just push in and take them out. Generally, for Adeptus Custodes, Inquisitor Draxus is a good use of points to improve your durability and can do a surprising amount of damage output. Next, Adeptus Mechanicus. This army rule does affect Draxus. So we have the Protector Imperative and the Conqueror Imperative. So giving either heavy, increased ballistic skill by 1 and -1 to hit in melee to Draxus, or Assault, which she already has Assault, improve weapon skill by wound, and improve the AP of attacks by 1. So now she can be attacking and hitting with AP 1 attacks. Not bad, but she's mostly chaff clear anyway. We're going to go on and see what else happens. In a detachment, in this Qatari Hunted cohort, she gains stealth. She will always have the stealth because she's going to be attached to a battle line unit. And then we have the Halos Creed Battleclad, which you can gain in your command phase. Give her unit one of the following: +2 move, +1 toughness, advance and charge, or stealth. Both of those are kind of just meh, not really necessary. Stealth plus the 18-inch loan op doesn't really give you a whole lot extra. Now onto the battle line units themselves. We have the Skitarii Rangers. She gives them grenades. They have sticky objectives plus loan op 18, which is good. We've already discussed that. And she gains ignores cover. So that bonus AP plus ignores cover. Now all of a sudden you have AP 1 ignores cover shots. Could be useful. Skitarii Vanguard. All she gets from that is ignores cover, and she gives them grenades. Inquisitor Draxus is probably not worth the points because there are many other options in this army for cheap leaders or just take more units. You don't need to improve your general battle line. Your battle line is there to help improve other things in a lot of ways, and also to just be very cheap, especially since they all have 5-up involves inbuilt. Next, the Astra Militarum. I love the Guard. Guard is great. So, army rule does apply to Draxus because it affects the unit. So you can give orders to Draxus's unit with a different officer, so she can get +3 inches movement, +1 weapon skill, +1 ballistic skill, +1 save, which doesn't affect her, +1 leadership and OC. She's already a 6+ leadership. Not really too worried about that. And attached to battle line, you don't really need the extra OC. So we did, and then she doesn't have any rapid fire. First rank fire, second rank fire is not going to affect her. Now, we actually have a bunch of attachment rules that can affect her unit as well. Bridgehead Strike allows her to attach to a Scion blob. That's not part of the rule, and she doesn't actually get the benefit of the rerolls or the +1 to hit, but it makes Tempesta Scion's battle line so that she can attach to them. Combined arms, she gains lethal hits against non-monsters and vehicles if she is attached to a regiment unit. Grizzled Company, if she's attached to a unit with an order, she can get reroll hit rolls of 1 and possibly reroll wound rolls of 1 if they're on an objective, which rerolling wound rolls is very good with Inquisitor Draxus because of the anti-infantry 4-up and devastating. Rerolling hit rolls is good with her sustained hits 2 weapon. Instead of missing 1 shot, you might be hitting 3. That's just good. Mechanized Assault, if she gets out of a transport where she can get into the same transport as everyone else because of her authority of the Inquisition, she gets +1 to wound in shooting. Siege Regiment, she can be targeted with the smoke grenades for stealth. She can shoot at something that ignores cover removed from it, so she can get benefits from there as well. I'm not going into individual stratagems for this because this is going to be a general overview, but a lot of these stratagems could also affect the unit she's leading and possibly affect her. So now onto the battle line themselves. Cadian shock troops, bread and butter. So a big thing with the Guard is a lot of our battle line units can be led by 2 characters. I'm going to go over the different characters and whether I think it's a good match or not after this, but so Cadian shock troops, she gains the sticky objective plus lone op 18, and Cadian shock troop bodies are relatively fragile, could be very useful. The catch and jungle fires can be attached with another character again. If she gets charged or charges something, she gets +1 to the wound roll, but she takes the scouts away from the catch and jungle fighters, and she has a power fist, but she's not really a melee character. I don't think it's worth it to put her with the catch and jungle fighters. You're looking at the Cadian shock troops or the Death Corps Krieg, really, which is another one where she'd be attached with another leader. And if that unit has suffered any casualties, you get +1 to hit, and if they're below half strength, you get +1 to wound. Just generally useful. The +1 to hit isn't as useful if you're going against any Xenos players because you're already getting that from Draxus herself, but the +1 to wound is always helpful. And you can attach her to Scions in Bridgehead. They can no longer deep strike, but you get reroll wound rolls of 1, or if your opponent's on an objective, you get full wound rerolls, which can make her attacks very devastating against infantry. However, especially in Bridgehead, Scions just pick up stuff. Scions are bread and butter, just kill something unit. That's kind of why the points went up and they had to rewrite that detachment for a little bit, for that attachment roll. But going on, we have all these thick characters that can be attached with a second character. Let's look at those. Cadian Castellan attached, so that gives sustained hits, fall back and shoot in 2 orders. Not overly helpful. She already has sustained hits 2 on one of her guns. Fall back and shoot is just never bad, but you're giving 2 orders at a 6-inch range, maybe not useful. Cadian Command Squad. If that unit is touching an objective, they get the benefit of cover. Good. More weapons, more Blade of Runes, revived D3 models, 24-inch order range, and can order itself, so that way you always have the order. Catachan Command Squad, same as the Keating Command Squad, except more special weapons, probably not a revive, but the Catachan Command Squad loses Scout and can only attach to Catachan, so probably not worth it. Greed Command Squad, this is going to be another interesting one. Give her a 6+ Feel No Pain against mortals. Okay, useful. Can order itself, has a spare order to go around, and a lot of plasma. Because you get 2 plasma pistols and a plasma gun in there, plus the extra OC. Okay, could work with it. And their ability to ignore battle shock for orders and stratagems. I honestly think the Krieg Command Squad is a slept-on unit, but Kriegs being more expensive than Acadians, it's kind of hard to start spamming those. Primary Psyker, just give that unit a 4 invuln against shooting, useful. 4+ Feel No Pain against psychic attacks, good. A good Devastating Wounds attacks that benefits from being +1 to hit, so now it can be hitting on 2s. Okay. However, Primary Psychers are expensive, only D6 or D6 +1 shots, and points are probably spent better elsewhere right now than the Primary Psyker, especially when combined with Inquisitor Draxus. Ursula Creed, 3 orders, free stratagem, and its unit can be affected by 2 orders. Useful. Everyone loves Ursula Creed, farming with that Voxcaster. However, again, suffer because you have so many orders at 6-inch range again. Now, Inquisitor Draxus could be very useful for the Guard. However, we have so many options with cheap characters and cheap units that points are probably better spent elsewhere because we need orders, and those orders probably need to be attached with a command squad. She doesn't provide enough to the army, and the army helps her, but not enough to justify her, especially because everything already has grenades. So now we're going to Space Marines. Alright, first off, Army Rule, Oath of Moment. She does not get rerolls from Oath of Moment. It specifies models. I'm going to go through the detachments. This is going to be a while. So the first Company Task Force, she does get the once per battle reroll wound rolls against the Oath target because that specifies units, not models. Bastion Task Force, she gets these. She can Auspex scan a unit because she is part of a battle line unit. They can perform actions after fallback or advance, and they can shoot and charge after fallback and advance, because that's all specified on units. The Blade of Ultramar can have a doctrine. Advance and shoot, fallback, shoot and charge, advance and charge, all useful. Gladius Task Force, it's the same as the Blade of Ultramar, I just had to repeat it. Ironstorm Spearhead. Unit can reroll 1 hit, wound, or damage roll. So she can use that hit, wound, and damage roll reroll, but I mean, the Devastating Wounds for a reroll hit, a reroll wound, and a reroll damage doesn't help, but sustain hits to anti-infantry 4-up with Dev. Maybe use the rerolls there. I don't think it's a huge thing because you're not, that shines with the vehicles. Orbital Assault Force. You could give her unit Deep Strike. And when they deploy, they reroll wound rolls of 1. If using a drop pod, they also reroll hit rolls of 1. Very useful. Could be great there as long as she has something good to lead. Reclamation Force. If on an objective, get -1 to wound from high strength weapons. Okay. Just makes her tougher, but she's already going to be using the battle line toughness, which is going to be 4. Shadowmac Talents. So that affects the unit as well. They get stealth and benefit of cover when greater than 12. But remember, when greater than 18, they can't even target them. Spear Point Task Force. She gains advanced fallback charge. Okay, useful. Stormlands Task Force. Advanced fallback and charge. Again, useful. Vanguard Spearhead. It's the same as Shadowmark Talents. So now we can get to the battle line. Assault and Assist Squads reroll wound rolls of 1 or all wound rolls when in melee and on an objective, and your opponent's on an objective. She's not a melee unit, doesn't really give enough. Heavy Intercessor Squad. Gets a +1 armor save when on an objective and targeted by damage 1 weapons. Okay, useful. That means you can put her in that squad and she gets a 2+ armor save against damage 1 weapons and they could just start blasting. Okay. Intercessor Squad. She does not get the extra shots because that specifies bolt rifles. However, she does benefit from them being sticky objective and her having the lone op 18. Tactical Squad. Tactical Squad can split. So you can gain a special weapon squad and a chaff squad. Okay. That not really saying a whole lot there, but okay. Lots of options. She doesn't benefit a lot from Space Marines, and Space Marines are already very good. She's not filling any holes, and you don't really see a lot of Space Marine battle line. Now that could change, especially with the new detachments, but for right now, I wouldn't take her in the Space Marine. Now we're going to go on to a few of the chapter specifics are in here as well. So Black Templars. Army rules, she does benefit from this. +1 to wound in melee versus high toughness. Could be useful. Again, not a melee character. Can charge after fall back, but not shoot. Okay, useful, but yeah. Has sticky objectives and can perform an action after an advance. That's useful. Movement wins game, being able to advance and perform actions, so advance, do a secondary, keep going. Now we're going to look at the attachment rules. Companions of Vehemence. You get reroll, advance, and charge rules. Okay. Again, not really a melee character. God Hammer Assault. If disembarked this turn, force Battle Shock after charge and +1 to hit. Okay. Battle Shock shenanigans, +1 to hit in melee, still not a melee character. Wrathful Procession. It can have litanies. These litanies that actually apply, she can get +2 move and +1 advance. Movement wins games, that's useful. +1 strength to melee weapons. Again, that could be useful, but not a melee character, and strength 6 is generally enough when fighting infantry. Battle line, they only have the Crusader Squad. When attached to them, they get the lone op 18. Okay, useful. And they get a surge move. Now this is interesting because if you shoot at them and you surge and now you're within 18 of something else and you haven't killed a unit, you're still viable. However, they have to be within 18 to shoot you, so if they're the last thing that can shoot it and they shoot and you surge closer to them, on your turn you're more than likely to be able to get into them because nothing else was eligible to shoot them and everything else shot. So you can play around with that as kind of a threatening, pseudo-tough surge move brick that Black Templars are generally good in melee. However, overall, Draxus is the worst points here. They don't really support Draxus, and Draxus doesn't really support them, and most of her damage is in shooting, not melee. It just doesn't really help, and they have enough options of +1 to hit that her +1 to hit against Xenos is going to play a role here. They all have grenades. It's just too many points and not enough benefit. Now, Blood Angels. There's only one detachment rule that works with her. And two. You have the Liberated Assault Group. Gets +1 attack and +2 strength when charging. Again, melee doesn't really work. Go back to the Space Marine Battle Line page. None of those were really great with her either. And now, for this one specific, we have Lost Brethren. Death Company Marines with Bolt Life and Death Company Marines with Bolt Rifles gain the Battle Line keyword. Alright, what are the Death Company Marines? Well, they reroll hit rolls in melee. They have OC0 and not able to fall back unless they're within distance of a Blood Angel's character or a chaplain. And they have a conditional sustained hit 1 or 2 in melee. Okay, nope, not really worth it. Death Company Marines with Bolt Rifles. They have the same restrictions with the OC0 and fall back. Okay. They don't get the conditional sustained hits 1 and 2. And once per turn, they can fire Overwatch or heroically intervene for free, rerolling the hit roll or charge roll. This is useful because that fire Overwatch with her guns could be very devastating. However, you're hitting on 6 and you're attaching her again to what is more of a melee unit versus shooting unit. Yes, they have bolt rifles. I have not seen many Death Company Marines or Death Company Marines with bolt rifles. Most of the time you see them, they have jetpacks. There's usually a chaplain or Lamarnies, and they are a powerhouse in melee. She doesn't really give them much, and they aren't really helping her much. So, again, not with the points. Dark Angels. So, they're no battle line specific to Dark Angels, so this is all going to go back to the Space Marines. These guys, either the Assault Intercessor Squad, Heavy Intercessor Squad, Intercessor Squad, or Tactical Squad, except you can have in a Dark Angel detachment, where she can get advanced fall back and shoot. Useful. I can fall back and shoot with my unit that has Draxus. She doesn't necessarily want to be in melee, but her shooting's pretty good. Unforgiven Task Force, Battle Shock OC of 1. Okay, that's just not bad. But most armies aren't playing with a lot of Battle Shock units. That makes them worth it. And possibly a +1 OC, so you can flip an objective that you normally wouldn't flip. Okay. Wrath of the Rock, -1 wound if strength is greater than toughness. That's just good. However, Dark Angels, without their own battle line choice, and the detachments being okay with her, but it's not worth the points. Again, Space Marines just seem to have a lot of other better options. And Dark Angels, again, seem to be more of a melee-focused army and more of a tank-based army. She doesn't provide enough, especially with all their units being not battle line for Dark Angel specific. Now we go to Death Watch. She works very well with Death Watch, but she's not the greatest. So we have the detachment rule. Blast Spear Task Force. She can't have tactics because it specifies units and the unit will gain it. So she can get sustained hits 1. She already has sustained hits. She can get lethal hits, which she does not have lethal hits, and critical precision. Okay. There are 2 kill teams she can attach to that are battle line, and they have the same ability. They reroll hit rolls of 1 against Xenos with +1 to hit. So she gives them the +1, and they give her reroll hit rolls of 1. And this is for shooting and melee. Okay, so now the whole unit's hitting on 2s, rerolling 1s. Very useful. I would suggest Death Watch veterans because they just have more war gear options and more freedom in war gear selection. You can make a better squad with them. But again, probably not worth it. Take more kill teams. Yeah. Grey Knights. Now this is actually a negative. The army rule, where you're going to pick up Grey Knights at the end of your turn, you can't be selected because it requires all models in that unit to have the army rule. So already kind of throws her out. Detachment rules, only one detachment rule helps, and that is the reroll hit rolls Whooping Task Force, which is the hollowed ground, where you gain hollowed ground based on within units of purifiers or how many objectives. You get reroll hit rolls of 1 always, and then full hit rerolls if you're in your hollowed ground. Okay, useful. She has a sustained hits weapon. Other one is Brotherhood Terminator Squad. So that is the first battle line unit. And it improves the AP of her melee by 1 against non-monstrous vehicles. So AP 2 to AP 3. In most melee cases, that's not a huge difference, especially when not going against monstrous vehicles, because that means you're probably hitting an invuln save, or you've got them rid of their save or making them save on like 5s or 6s, generally. And then there's the Strike Squad. Again, the sticky objective plus load of 18 is very good. However, losing the uppy downy of the Grey Knights just to attack Draxus for potential 18-inch loadout, I'd rather be able to pick up my Strike Squad, put it on a new objective, sticky that one, pick them up, put them on a new objective, sticky it. So again, not worth the points. Imperial Agents. Turns out Draxus is worth it in Imperial Agents. All of the attachments work with her, with the exception of the Veil Blade Task Force, because that only helps assassins. So Imperial Fleet. 1 of 2 modes, eliminate at all costs, so where she gets +1 to hit. That's against everything. Not as helpful when you're facing a Xenos army with her, but you know what? Could be worth it. Acquire at all costs, +1 OC and 5+ invul. Doesn't really help her. She already has a 5+ invul. And that's only if she's standing on that objective. Order Hereticus, Permutation Force. Ranged weapons have ignores cover. Very useful with AP0 weapons because that means they're not going to get 3+ cover save, so they're going to be stuck on their 4+ save, they're going to be stuck on their 5+ save, or 6+ save, depending on what you're shooting at. Gains sustained hits 1 against chaos units with more than 5 models. Okay, can be useful, but she already has sustained hits 2 on one of her guns. Order Malice Demon Hunters. She gets reroll hit rolls of 1. Useful. If targeting a demon unit, you reroll wound rolls of 1. Useful. She has devastating wounds on one of her guns. Just not bad, but those 2 detachments and this next one are all not great. Order Xenos Alien Hunters. She gets mission tactics the same as if she was in the Death Watch detachment. So she can either get lethal hits, sustained hits, or critical precision. Okay, useful. I'll take it. But now let's get on to what she can lead, which is not just battle line in this case. So we have the Aquila kill team and the Death Watch kill team. I've talked about these. It's the same kill teams as before. Take the Death Watch kill team to the Death Watch veterans. And she gets the reroll hit rolls of 1 versus Xenos, and she gives them a +1 to hit. So now hitting on 2s, rerolling 1s against Xenos. Useful. Good. Okay. Exaction Squad. Lethal hits and precision versus 1 target. Gains, ignores, cover. Okay. Useful, not the greatest. Imperial Navy Breachers, aka this is probably the unit that you want to attach your Inquisitors to, including Draxus, or maybe the Inquisitor agents, but let's talk about those in a second. Imperial Navy Breachers, they have reroll wound rolls of 1, or all wound rolls if your opponent's on an objective. Very useful with a devastating wound gun. And strength 6, AP 02 damage against other chaff units means probably wounding on 2s with basically full wound rolls. Once per battle, they can use grenades at 18 inches. Okay, useful. Long distance mortals are always helpful. Once per battle, gains ignores cover. Okay, so shooting at cultists, all of a sudden they don't get a 5+ save. And now we're going to Inquisitor Agents. -1 to wound with an Inquisitor leading them. So that unit is now -1 to wound. Useful, but they're toughness 3, so they're still probably getting wounded on 3s or 4s. However, they have a large number of attacks in melee, surprisingly, for what they are. Each one usually has about 3, and then you have the plasma pistol and the multi-melta and her, so could be a decent number of attacks, even if they're low impact attacks generally. However, you can also attach a Ministorm Priest to this unit with an Inquisitor attached. That gives that unit sustained hits 1 in melee. Not bad. And the Inquisitor's gun can be frightening, especially in melee. But Inquisitorial agents, I love them. Still not really worth it. You probably want to play her with the Navy Breachers. Subductor Squad gives her a 4+ fight on death. She's not a melee character. Her melee is better than theirs, but they're at 2 attacks each, hitting on 4s, strength 4, AP 1 damage. She's 3 attacks at strength 6, AP 2 damage. They're a chaff unit meant to be a roadblock. I would have put Draxus with them. Vigilant Squad. So when the target is below half strength, they get +1 to wound. Useful. Killing more things. Overall, she is worth it, but she's also worth it because she's cheaper in agents. Only 75 points. And I'm telling you right now, I'm probably putting her with the Inquisitorial agents for the flavor, but the better option is Imperial Navy Breachers for those wound rerolls, and in Imperial's fleet, you can do some weird shenanigans with Breachers, and she gets the benefit from them. Knights. Not with the points. She can't attach to any battle line here. I'll get back to you on that one. Maybe she can attach to them, but I don't think so. Because it says she can lead Imperium battle line. Hold on. This is going to be a second. Just started this, but Does it say Imperial Battle Line units or Imperium Battle Line infantry? Because that makes a huge difference in this. Imperium Battle Line infantry. So she cannot attach to any units. If you're going to take her here, you're going to have to take some agents to go with her. I could see maybe taking her and a unit of Inquisitorial agents as a backline screen. Probably better allies to take for a backline screen. Space Wolves. There you have detachment wolves that walk with her. So you have the champions Fenris. Opponent's charge phase may charge them if within 3 inches. Okay, the wolves want that. Draxus doesn't really. Saga of the Blow. If complete, may reroll 1 hit, wound, and damage roll. However, she killing things does not add to the boast, so she doesn't help accomplish the detachment rule, but the detachment rule can support her. Saga of the Great Wolf. She may be affected by a hunting pack, so she can get reroll advanced charge. Ranged attacks get +1 to hit. That could be useful. In melee, either gaining lethal hits or sustained hits 1. Not bad, but again, not a melee character, so she really only wants the ranged attacks getting +1 to hit. And we'll see in a second that, go back. The other attachment rule, Saga of the Hunter. Conditional +1 to hit in melee. If complete, +1 to wound in melee. And she can contribute to this saga. Now, come back here with the hunting packs, as you can see, range attacks +1 to hit. We don't really have shooting squad, battle line, special units for the Space Wolves. We have the Blood Claws that have natural advanced charge, useful. And then we have the Grey Hunters, which will reroll wound rolls of 1. Or if the target's on an objective, full wound roll reels. Grey Hunters and her can be very useful because they are the Space Wolves shooting battle line, but Grey Hunters aren't seeing a lot of play right now. There's kind of a reason. It's probably not, she's not worth the points in Space Wolves, but she's probably more useful in Space Wolves than in a lot of other attachments for Space Marines. So that's it. Happy wargaming, y'all. Look at this beautiful picture of my own Inquisitor Draxus. Hopefully I can get another video out tomorrow or the next day. I think, so I did the Imperial Guard, followed by 1,000 Suns, and this is my agents video. So my next video, as long as I can come up with a topic good enough, is going to be Imperial Guard again. Either that, or I might just skip around and do another 1,000 Suns video. Tell me what y'all think. Please like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends. Like I said, this is my own Inquisitor Draxus model, as you can see here. It's been a while. I'm not the greatest painter or picture taker yet. Hopefully I get better. Happy wargaming. Have a great day.